This video is about the waiter was mocked but a tycoon stepped in. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. Part 1. The waiter was mocked but a tycoon stepped in. In the heart of the bustling city of Everwood, nestled between towering skyscrapers, was a cafe named the Brimming Cup. Its warm lights beckoned passers-by, while the mingling aroma of freshly brewed coffee and baked pastries created an inviting ambience. For many, it was a sanctuary from the chaos of city life, but for Marcus, a weary waiter, it was everything he could hope for and more. Marcus had been at the Brimming Cup for over 3 years, balancing his dreams of becoming a painter with the demands of serving customers. Every day, he wore a smile that masked his struggles. He lived in a cramped studio apartment filled with his canvases, brushes, and endless streams of exhibitions that sometimes felt impossibly distant. As he navigated the cafe with grace, serving lattes and pastries, he often caught glimpses of the world outside. He watched businessmen and women in tailored suits, university students with bright futures ahead, and families enjoying their weekends. Though he felt a pang of envy at times, he was determined to carve his own path, no matter how rocky the road might be. One afternoon, as Marcus was delivering a cappuccino to a table, he overheard a conversation that made his heart sink. A group of affluent patrons, dressed in the latest fashion, began laughing derisively as they noticed him. "Look at that poor guy," one snickered, "serving coffee like it is a grand art. How quaint." Marcus forced himself to keep smiling, but the laughter felt like daggers piercing through his self-worth. He had grown accustomed to the odd glance of pity or contempt from those who had never known the weight of struggle. Yet, each mockery lodged itself deeper in his heart, reminding him of the chasm between his aspirations and reality. "Hey, Marcus," chimed a fellow waiter named Sophie, who had been a source of strength during the toughest shifts. Her vibrant energy was a stark contrast to the condescension Marcus had just faced. "You okay? You look a bit pale." "I am fine," he replied, though he could hear a quiver in his voice. "Just the usual." Sophie, with her keen intuition, leaned in. "You know those people don't define you, right? You are so much more than a waiter, you are an artist." He nodded, grateful for her kindness. "I just wish they could see it." As the day wore on, the cafe buzzed with chatter and laughter, but Marcus couldn't shake the feeling of inadequacy. He poured his heart into every cup of coffee he served, yet doubts clouded his mind. Were his dreams merely a distraction from reality? Was he destined to remain a waiter forever? Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the cafe began to empty. Marcus started to clean up, his thoughts a whirlpool of emotion. He yearned for validation, a sign that his struggles were not in vain. It was then that he noticed a man sitting alone in the corner, dressed in a simple black suit, his eyes hidden behind dark glasses. Pushing aside the urge to engage with the man, Marcus continued with his tasks. He often saw people come and go, but something about this man felt distinct. There was an air of quiet determination around him that intrigued Marcus. He stole glances, wondering what brought such a person to a small cafe on this ordinary evening. As the clock struck 9, the man in the corner finally spoke, his voice deep and resonant. "Excuse me, young man." Startled, Marcus turned to face him. "Yes, sir." "I couldn't help but notice how you engage with your customers. You have a genuine spirit," the man said, removing his glasses to reveal kind blue eyes that sparkled with wisdom. "Thank you," Marcus replied, a blush creeping up his cheeks. "I try my best." The man leaned back, studying Marcus intently. "You've got dreams, don't you? More than just serving coffee." "How could you tell?" Marcus asked, slightly embarrassed. "It is in the way you move, how you look at the world. There is a fire in you," he stated, his voice steady. "I used to be like you, a dreamer, hustling to make ends meet." Intrigued, Marcus listened intently. "What changed?" "I found my passion and pursued it relentlessly, but it wasn't easy. I faced rejection, mockery, and doubt, just like you." The man's gaze shifted to the window, where the city lights flickered like stars. "But I learned that resilience is born from struggle." Marcus felt a warmth in his chest. "I want to be an artist, but sometimes it feels like an impossible dream." "It is not impossible," the man replied, leaning forward. "You must be willing to fight for it. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Do you have a portfolio?" Caught off guard, Marcus stammered. Yes, but it is not ready. I am still working on my style." "Show it to me," the man insisted, his tone encouraging. "I want to see what your heart creates." With a hesitant nod, Marcus agreed to bring his portfolio the next day. As he left the Brimming Cup that night, he felt lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. small flicker of hope ignited within him, reminding him that dreams could still be pursued. The following day, determination fueled his steps as he prepared to show his work. He picked up his portfolio and wiped his hands on his apron, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. Could this man truly understand his art? Could he be the catalyst Marcus needed? When he arrived at the cafe, he found the man already seated, a steaming cup of coffee before him. "Good morning," he greeted, his smile warm and encouraging. "Good morning," Marcus replied, his heart racing. "I have my portfolio with me." As he opened the leather-bound book, revealing his artwork, he felt exposed. Each stroke of paint told a story, a fragment of his soul, filled with both light and shadow. The man leaned in closer, studying each piece with meticulous attention. "This is beautiful," he exclaimed, all evident in his voice. "You capture emotion in a way that speaks to the heart. Have you shown this to anyone else?" "No, just a few friends," Marcus admitted, his voice small. "I don't think it is ready." "Ready? It is more than ready. You have a gift. Find a way to share it with the world," the man encouraged, his passion contagious. With every word, Marcus began to believe in himself a little more. Perhaps he was more than just a waiter. Perhaps he was an artist capable of touching others with his work. He could see the man's conviction, and it stirred something within him, a desire to rise above the mockery, to show the world that dreams were worth pursuing. As their conversation flowed, Marcus learned that the man's name was David, a tycoon who had once walked the same path of dreams and doubts. He had faced rejection, but ultimately found his way to success through resilience and hard work. "You can do it too, Marcus. It is all about perseverance," he said, slapping the table lightly for emphasis. In that moment, a spark of hope ignited in Marcus's heart, fanning the flames of his ambition. He realized the power of kindness and encouragement, how a single conversation could change the course of a life. As they parted ways, David placed his business card in Marcus's hand. "Call me. I want to help you get your work out there." With a newfound determination, Marcus watched David leave, feeling a surge of gratitude. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to embrace the challenges. Perhaps, just perhaps, he could transform his dreams into reality. And so, beneath the shimmering city lights of Everwood, a journey began, not just for a waiter, but for an artist ready to paint his own destiny. Part 2, blossoming through adversity. The following weeks were a whirlwind of transformation for Marcus. As he stood behind the counter of the brimming cup, each steaming cup of coffee served felt infused with a renewed sense of purpose. The vibrant energy from the encounters with David propelled him forward, motivating him to push past the walls of self-doubt that had once confined him. Nevertheless, the journey was not without its challenges. Marcus spent every free moment refining his art, pouring his heart and soul onto canvases that now felt like windows to his very spirit. He would sit in his tiny apartment with the soft glow of a single lamp illuminating his workspace, surrounded by jars of paint and brushes. The chaos of the city outside faded away as he immersed himself in the world of colors and shapes. Still, the shadows of uncertainty loomed large. In the quiet moments, he wrestled with thoughts of ridicule from those affluent patrons who had once laughed at him. One evening, after a particularly taxing shift, Marcus sat in his apartment feeling overwhelmed. He picked up a brush, dipped it into vibrant red, and hesitated. "What if they rewrite?" he muttered to himself. "What if I am just a joke?" The quiet of the room wrapped around him like a heavy blanket. Then he recalled David's words, asterisk, "Every setback is a setup for comeback." Asterisk, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath, picturing the kind blue eyes that had seen through his insecurities. In that moment, determination surged within him. He couldn't let laughter define his journey. Picking up the brush again, he began to paint. Each stroke was an act of defiance against doubt. Meanwhile, David kept his promise. He checked him frequently, often stopping by the brimming cup, where he would engage customers and share laughter with the staff. Each visit rekindled Marcus's hope, but it also added pressure. What if I disappoint him? He worried. As days turned into weeks, he felt the weight of expectation resting on his shoulders. One afternoon, Marcus was lost in thought, contemplating his next exhibition idea, when David entered the cafe with a broad smile. "Marcus, I have something to share," he exclaimed, drawing the attention of nearby patrons with his vibrant energy. "What is up?" Marcus asked, his heart quickening. "I've arranged a small gallery showing for you next month," David announced, his voice radiating excitement. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. "A gallery showing for me?" "Yes, I believe in your work, and I think it is time for others to see it too," David affirmed, his eyes sparkling with encouragement. "But we need to prepare. You'll have to get your pieces ready for display." The thought of sharing his art with the world sent a rush of both exhilaration and dread coursing through him. "What if they don't like it?" he asked, an edge of panic creeping into his voice. "Marcus," David said with a firm yet gentle tone, "it doesn't matter if everyone loves it. What matters is that you have the courage to share your truth. Art is about connection, not approval." Marcus nodded, feeling a flicker of hope igniting within him. "You're right, I'll do it." As the days passed leading up to the exhibition, Marcus worked tirelessly. He poured every ounce of emotion into his paintings, each piece reflecting his journey, his struggles, his dreams, and the beauty of resilience. He painted late into the nights, fueled by a blend of excitement and anxiety. But the closer the date approached, the more fear bubbled beneath the surface. His thoughts spiraled into a whirlpool of doubt. What if nobody came? What if they laughed at his pieces? The night before the exhibition, he sat on the floor of his apartment surrounded by canvases, tears streaming down his cheeks. "What have I done?" he whispered, his heart heavy with uncertainty. Just then, there was a knock on his door. It was Sophie, his fellow waiter and friend, holding 2 cups of steaming chai. "I brought you some comfort," she said with a warm smile, stepping inside. "Thanks, Sophie. I needed this," Marcus said, wiping his eyes and attempting to muster a smile. "You've been working so hard. I know you're nervous, but you have to remember why you started painting in the first place," she said, her voice soothing. "You create art because it's in your soul. Don't let fear steal that from you." He took a sip of the chai, grateful for her presence. "What if everyone hates it?" "Then they hate it," Sophie replied matter-of-factly. "You'll find the right audience, those who appreciate your vision, and even if they don't, you still have your passion. That is what matters." Her unwavering belief in him reignited a spark of determination. "You're right, I just have to be brave." "Exactly. Just be yourself and let your art speak," she encouraged, wrapping him in a warm embrace. The day of the exhibition arrived, and Marcus felt a storm of emotions. As he stood in front of the gallery, a cozy space adorned with his paintings, his heart raced. Each piece held a story, a fragment of his journey. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of the strength he had found through the struggles that had shaped him. As the doors opened, a stream of guests poured in, filling the gallery with laughter and warmth. Faces he recognized from the brimming cup mingled with art enthusiasts and friends. David emerged from the crowd, a proud smile on his face. "Look at all these people. They were here for you, Marcus." Marcus's heart swelled with gratitude as he realized he was not alone. With each passing moment, he engaged with guests, sharing stories about his art and the inspirations behind each piece. To his surprise, the reactions were overwhelmingly positive. Patrons approached him with genuine curiosity, complimenting his work and expressing how it resonated with them. "Your art speaks volumes," one woman said, her eyes glistening. "I can feel the emotion in every stroke." Marcus beamed with pride. "Thank you, that means the world to me." As the night continued, Marcus found himself surrounded by laughter and conversation, feeling a sense of belonging he had never known before. Each heartfelt compliment chipped away at his lingering fears, and he began to see that art was not just about showcasing talent, it was about sharing experiences and connecting with others. Then, as he stepped back to take it all in, he noticed a group of familiar faces, those affluent patrons who had once marked him. They stood before one of his paintings, their expressions transformed from indifference to intrigue. "I never thought he had this in him," one of them whispered, a hint of astonishment in their voice. A wave of emotions washed over Marcus. At that moment, he realized that their mockery had only fueled his fire. He had risen out of their judgments, proving that he was more than just a waiter, he was an artist with a voice. David approached him, pride radiating from his demeanor. "You did it, Marcus. You faced your fears and shared your heart. This is just the beginning." For the first time in a long while, Marcus felt embraced by a profound sense of belonging and acceptance. He had transformed the pain of mockery into a source of strength. The laughter that once wounded him had become a mere echo, overshadowed by the cheers of those who believed in him. As the night wound down, Marcus stepped outside, the cool breeze brushing against his skin. The city lights twinkled above like stars, illuminating the path ahead. With each breath, he felt lighter, liberated from chains of self-doubt. "Thank you, David," Marcus said sincerely, turning to his mentor. "I couldn't have done this without you." "It was all of you, Marcus. You found the courage to believe in yourself," David replied, his eyes twinkling with pride. "Now, keep painting, keep sharing. The world needs your voice." With a heart full of gratitude, Marcus stepped into his new reality, ready to embrace the challenges and triumphs that lay ahead. The journey was just beginning, but he had learned one important lesson: the beauty of the human spirit shines brightest in the face of adversity. And with every stroke of his brush, he could inspire others to rise and create their own masterpieces within the canvas of life. Part 3: The Canvas of Life. The days following the exhibition felt surreal for Marcus. Each morning, as the sun spilled golden light into his small studio apartment, he awoke with a sense of purpose that felt new yet familiar. The echoes of laughter and applause from the gallery still resonated in his heart, a constant reminder of the power that came from sharing his truth. However, the thrill of success was accompanied by the daunting pressure of what came next. What if this was just a fluke? He thought as he stared at a blank canvas in his apartment. What if I can't replicate this experience? Doubts crept in, just as they always had, whispering insidiously that he was still just a waiter in an art world that was too big and overwhelming. He recalled the faces of the affluent patrons who had once mocked him, their unexpected intrigue still fresh in his mind. Those memories ignited a fire within him, but fear threatened to extinguish it. Determined to conquer his insecurity, Marcus picked up his brush with newfound resolve. He started painting fervently, losing himself in vibrant colors and swirling emotions. But with each stroke, his mind echoed with the relentless question, am I really an artist? Later that week, while serving at the brimming cup, Marcus spotted Sophie in a corner booth, her notebook spread before her as she scribbled furiously. Her dedication to her writing inspired him, and he approached her table. Hey, what has got you so absorbed? He asked, leaning casually against the counter. Sophie looked up, her eyes gleaming with excitement. I am working on a short story for a local contest. It is about following your dreams against all odds, she said, beaming. That sounds amazing, Marcus replied, a gentle warmth flooding his chest. I've been trying to figure out what comes next for my art. I don't want to lose the momentum from the exhibition. Then don't, she asserted, putting her pen down. Keep pushing, keep sharing. You can let the fear of failure hold you back. You have a gift, Marcus, share it with the world. Her unwavering belief spurred him on, and as the days turned into weeks, Marcus painted tirelessly. He painted the city as he saw it through the lens of struggling hearts, passionate souls, and the quiet moments of beauty that often went unnoticed. Each piece conveyed a story, a reflection of his journey, imbued with the hope and resilience that had carried him this far. Yet even amidst this creative flow, his self-doubt loomed like a dark cloud. One evening, while staring at a canvas that refused to come to life, Marcus felt overwhelmed. Frustrated, he slammed his paintbrush down and buried his face in his hands. What if I am not meant to do this? He lamented to an empty room. Suddenly, a familiar voice broke through the silence. What is going on, Marcus? It was David, standing in the doorway, concern etched on his face. I don't know, David. I thought I could keep this up, but what if this was just a lucky break? Marcus confessed, his voice cracking with vulnerability. David stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Let me tell you something, he said, taking a seat beside Marcus. Every artist faces doubts, that is part of the process, but remember, art isn't just about skill, it is about pouring your heart into what you create. You're allowed to be scared. Marcus looked up, his eyes shining with uncertainty. But I don't want to disappoint you or anyone else who believes in me. You want to disappoint anyone by being your authentic self, David reassured him. Think of it this way, every great artist faces rejection and criticism, but those who persevere shape their legacy. You can let fear dictate your journey. His words resonated deeply with Marcus, igniting a flicker of determination within him. You're right, I need to embrace the struggle as part of the journey, not the end of it. Exactly, and remember, your story is unique, David continued, his tone encouraging. Share your highs and lows, let your voice resonate with others, that is where real art lies. Marcus nodded, feeling invigorated. I'll keep painting, I'll embrace the fear, I want to tell my story. As the conversation flowed, Marcus felt the sense of clarity washing over him. David's faith in him reignited the passion that had burned so brightly before, and he resolved to push beyond the limitations he had imposed on himself. In the weeks that followed, Marcus poured his heart into his work. He created a series of pieces that illustrated not only his triumphs but also his struggles, the nights spent doubting himself, the laughter that once stung, and the hope that had emerged from the ashes of defeat. With each brushstroke, he addressed his fears head-on, giving them color and form. He created art that spoke of resilience, paintings that transformed his vulnerability into strength. By the time the next gallery showing approached, he felt more connected to his work than ever before. As the night of the exhibition arrived, the gallery buzzed with anticipation. Marcus stood at the entrance, taking deep breaths to calm the whirlwind of emotions within him. The familiar faces of friends and patrons filled the room, but he couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability, a fear that once again threatened to overwhelm him. "Hey, you okay?" Sophie appeared beside him, her presence a comforting anchor. "I am just nervous," he admitted, glancing at the canvases that portrayed his innermost thoughts. "What if they don't connect with my story?" Sophie smiled warmly. "You've already won by being brave enough to share your truth. Just remember why you created these pieces. You're not just sharing art, you're resharing a piece of your soul." With her encouragement ringing in his ears, Marcus stepped into the gallery, his heart pounding. As patrons began to wander through, he engaged with them, sharing the backstories of his paintings. Their reactions were genuine, filled with curiosity and appreciation. Then, unexpectedly, he spotted the group of affluent patrons who had once mocked him. They stood before his painting titled Resilience, their expressions softened, no longer marked by ridicule but by contemplation. "I never knew he had this depth," one of them whispered to another, and Marcus felt a surge of triumph. Art is meant to challenge perceptions, he reminded himself, drawing strength from their change of heart. With each conversation, he felt lighter, more at peace with his journey. At the height of the night, he turned to see David searching for him in the crowd. As their eyes met, a smile spread across David's face, and Marcus knew he had made him proud. "Marcus," David called, making his way through the throng. "I heard the most incredible feedback. People are genuinely moved by your work." "I can't believe this," Marcus replied, his heart swelling with gratitude. "I was so afraid, but now I feel like I've finally found my voice." "You have. Keep it alive," David said, his voice filled with conviction. "Remember, every artist faces judgment, but it is those who remain true to themselves who rise above." As the night drew to a close, Marcus stepped outside, the crisp air filling his lungs. The city lights danced like stars against the deepening night sky, mirroring the hope that blossomed in his heart. He had transformed his pain into art, and in doing so, he had not only shared his journey but had connected with others who had faced their own struggles. With every painting, he began to understand that the beauty of the human spirit lay in its ability to rise, to embrace challenges, and to inspire others. It was a cycle of hope that transcended adversity, binding people together through shared experiences. "Thank you, David," Marcus whispered to the night sky, feeling gratitude swell within him. "Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Driven by purpose, he made a silent promise to continue sharing his story, to convey the raw beauty found in vulnerability, and to inspire others to create their own masterpieces within the canvas of life. And as he stepped back into the brimming cup the following day, he knew that his journey was just beginning, one filled with passion, resilience, and endless possibilities. Part 4, The Awakening of Dreams. The morning after his second exhibition, Marcus worked to the gentle hum of the city outside his window. The sun was streaming in, bathing his small studio in warm golden light. For the first time in ages, he felt a sense of peace wrapped in anticipation. The night before had been transformative, the connections he made and the encouragement he received had ignited a fire within him. Yet, as he sat on the edge of his bed, brushing his fingers through hair that stood on end, a familiar anxiety began to creep back. "What now?" he whispered to himself, staring at the blank canvas leaning against the wall. Was it all just a momentary spark? Determined not to be swept away by doubt, he stood and approached the canvas. Memories of laughter, applause, and heartfelt conversations danced in his mind like vibrant colors waiting to be unleashed. This was the life he had yearned for, a life where his voice echoed through his art. Clenching his fists in quiet resolve, he picked up a brush and dipped it into a vivid blue, the color of the clear sky overhead. Hours melted away as he painted, each stroke evoking the essence of hope, resilience, and the power of dreams. The outside world faded, and all that remained was the canvas and the story he was eager to tell. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, the room was filled with a stillness that felt sacred, a reminder that art was not merely a hobby, it was a lifeline. Later that evening, he decided to take a break and called Sophie. "Hey, do you want to grab a cup of coffee?" he asked, excitement bubbling beneath his words. "Absolutely, I need a break from my writing," she replied, her voice bright and enthusiastic. They agreed to meet at the Brimming Cup. As he walked through the streets of Everwood, he felt a sense of belonging that had once eluded him. The city was alive with energy, filled with the sounds of laughter and conversations blending together like a beautiful symphony. He spotted Sophie waiting at their usual table, a notebook at her side and a steaming cup of cocoa in her hands. "Hey, look who decided to grace us with his presence," she teased, a playful glint in her eyes. Marcus chuckled, sliding into the chair opposite her. I was in the zone. I've been painting like a madman. Good, you should keep that momentum going, she encouraged. What did you work on today? I started a piece about the journey, how dreams can feel distant but are so close when you embrace them, he explained, his eyes lighting up as he spoke. Wow, that sounds powerful, she said, leaning forward with interest. Art is such a beautiful way to connect with others. You re-sharing your heart, Marcus. I hope so, he said, feeling a warmth spread through him. But I also worry, what if people don't get it? What if they think I am just a waiter playing artist? Sophie shook her head firmly. You've already shown them that you're more than just a waiter. You've shared your truth, and that is what makes your art resonate. Keep pushing through the fear. Her words were a balm to his soul. With every conversation, he could feel the boundaries of self-doubt beginning to dissolve. You're right, I can't let fear dictate my journey. I want to create something meaningful. Then let us organize another exhibition, Sophie suggested enthusiastically. You can build on your last one and showcase what you've created since then. Marcus felt a flutter of excitement mixed with anxiety. You really think so? I mean, what if I fail again? Failure is just a part of the process, she replied. Each time you step out and share, you grow. You'll never know until you try. Plus, I'll be right there with you. As they sipped their drinks and brainstormed ideas, the cafe seemed to pulse with energy, a blend of warmth, creativity, and camaraderie. The conversations of patrons, the clinking of cups, and the aroma of freshly baked pastries filled the air, creating an atmosphere of hope. In the following weeks, Marcus embraced the challenge. He poured himself into his work, transforming the canvas into a powerful narrative of resilience. Each piece he created was a reflection of not just his personal journey, but also a collective voice that spoke to the dreams, struggles, and triumphs of those around him. But amidst the surge of creativity came moments of doubt. One evening, after a long day of painting, he found himself staring despondently at a piece that refused to come alive. Why can't I get this right? He whispered, frustration coursing through him. Maybe I am not cut out for this. Just then, there was a knock at the door. It was David. Hey, Marcus, I brought dinner, he said, holding up a takeout bag. I thought you could use a break. Thanks, David, Marcus replied, forcing a smile as he gestured for him to come in. I am just feeling a bit stuck. David set the food down and studied Marcus's work in progress. This looks amazing. What is the story behind it? I am trying to capture the struggle, the moments of doubt, but I can't seem to convey what I feel, Marcus admitted, running a hand through his hair in frustration. Sometimes the hardest pieces to create are the ones that hold the most truth, David said thoughtfully. Remember, it is okay to feel stuck. Embrace that feeling. It is part of the journey. Marcus took a deep breath, letting David's words resonate. You're right, I've been trying to force it instead of letting it flow. Art cannot be rushed, David continued. It is a reflection of your spirit. Trust the process and let your heart guide you. Sometimes the most beautiful pieces emerge from chaos. Thank you, Marcus said, feeling a renewed sense of hope. I'll keep that in mind. As they enjoyed their meal together, the camaraderie and shared laughter lifted his spirits. He realized that the support he had around him was a crucial part of his journey. He wasn't alone in this. The following week, as Marcus prepared for his next exhibition, he felt a mix of nerves and excitement. He had chosen the title Awakening Dreams as a celebration of resilience, hope, and the beauty of pursuing one's passions. He wanted to invite not just friends but also strangers, hoping to connect with anyone who had faced adversity and found a way to rise above it. On the night of the exhibition, the gallery buzzed with energy. Friends and patrons filled the space, mingling and sharing stories. Marcus stood at the entrance, his heart racing as he greeted guests. Each interaction reminded him of the power of connections, the way art could bridge gaps and create understanding. Your work has such depth, a guest remarked, standing before his piece titled Arise, which depicted a figure breaking through chains of despair. It resonates with my own struggles. Thank you, Marcus replied, feeling a swell of pride. That is exactly what I hope to convey. Art is a way to express our shared experiences. Later, he spotted the group of affluent patrons who had once mocked him. They approached, their expressions transformed. Your work is remarkable, one of them said, genuine admiration in their voice. I didn't see this side of you before. I appreciate that, Marcus said, feeling the weight of their past judgments begin to lift. Art has a way of revealing what is hidden beneath the surface. As the night unfolded, Marcus engaged with guests, sharing the stories behind each piece. The warmth of their responses filled him with joy. He felt the shackles of doubt fall away, replaced by a sense of belonging that he had longed for. David appeared beside him, a proud smile lighting up his face. "You've done it again, Marcus. You've found your voice, and it is powerful." "I couldn't have done it without your support," Marcus replied, gratitude flooding his heart. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Remember, it is not just about me believing in you, it is about you believing in yourself," David said, clapping him on the back. "Keep sharing your story, and others will find courage in yours." As guests continued to admire his work and share their own stories, Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. He had transformed pain into beauty, mockery into validation, and doubt into strength. Each conversation fueled his resolve to keep creating, to keep sharing, and to continue inspiring those around him. At the end of the night, as the gallery began to empty, Marcus stepped outside into the crisp evening air. The city sparkled like a blanket of stars above him, illuminating the path ahead. He felt lighter, liberated from the chains of self-doubt that had once bound him. "Thank you," he whispered to the universe, feeling gratitude swell within. "Thank you for this journey, for the challenges that led me here, and for the people who believe in me." In that moment of reflection, Marcus realized that the beauty of the human spirit lay not just in triumph, but in the journey one filled with struggles, breakthroughs, passion, and resilience. Inspired by his own experiences, he made a silent promise to continue sharing his story, to embrace vulnerability, and to uplift others on their paths. He understood that each brushstroke was not just about art, but about connection, hope,